Hello, all. We are back. It is the first Woo Wednesday of 2023, and as always, I am here with the master of the esoteric himself, Salty Traveling Sea. How are you doing? Happy New Year!
I'm all right. So here's the crazy thing. I started to talk and I was like, Purple Valkyrie's probably going to yell at me to unmute myself. So I unmuted myself before you had to tell me progress, not perfection. Welcome to 2023. What a crazy sounding year, 2023. The very first wild, weird werewolf winter Wednesday woo woo show. Hail to everybody who's out in chat. Purple Valkyrie, I hope you are having a reasonably good new year.
It's thrown some challenges at us already. It's going to be a weird one, I think, 2023, but that kind of fits in with what we like to talk about. But before we jump into it, let me say hey to the chat, because we've got some great people joining us. We've got Jacob Ironside. We've got our favourite vampire, Nosferatu.
He's trouble.
D-Bud putting the links out. Thank you, D-Bud. Great to see you. We've got the man in Japan, Wakazashi. Great to see you, Gray.
Can I interrupt? Gray had a great show last Friday that turned into an after-hours party. And it was a lot of fun. We were talking about, what the hell were we talking about? Time Bandits. And this week, Gray on Friday night will be talking about Highlander, one of my favorite movies. It's going to be great. I think that 70s rock fan is going to be there. Nerdporial, Purple Valkyrie, myself, others. Check it out. It's a good show. And in the after show, once we get going for a while, we'll probably open it up to other people. So I just wanted to shout out Gray. And again, congratulations on being monetized, dude. That is no small achievement.
Yes, indeed. And as Gray correctly says, there can be only one. Indeed.
It's better to burn out than fade away.
I love the Kurgan. He's so good. Let's see. We've got Dempsey. Great to see you. We've got the man himself, Sagadorf9. He says Time Bandits is wonderful. You are not wrong. That was a lot of fun. We've got Lord Throff. Great to see you. Hello there. Who else? We've got Fira Fema. Great to see you. But we've got the ladies in as well. I know I saw Jay, the deep-minded. Hello, sweetheart. Smile a while was there earlier. Let me say hail and welcome to Clisano. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Great to see you. Hey there. And Keely Chow, Happy New Year to you as well. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody. I know Dempsey, I see you as well. And Ronan Rakatur, good evening. And we've got the lovely Magitech Mags. Hello, honey. Great to see you as well. So, Salty, if you don't mind, I thought I would kick it off. And we like to talk space and space exploration. Unfortunately, it is not the sweet, sweet meteor of death that I was hoping for, but we've got a comet that's supposedly going to be visiting us. So this is coming in February, and it is possible for people to see it with the naked eye, and this hasn't been around since apparently Neanderthals were walking the earth. So the comet is called C/2022 E3 or ZTF. Okay, and it could be bright enough to be spotted with the naked eye as it passes the sun and earth at the end of the first month of 2023. So around about the end of January, beginning of February, fingers crossed it should be able to be seen. So it says, at the start of 2023, Earth will be visited by a newly discovered comet that may just be bright enough to be spotted with the naked eye. The comet is currently passing through the inner solar system, and it will make its approach closest to the sun on January 12th, and then whip past the Earth, we hope, making it the closest passage of our planet between the 1st and 2nd of February.
Whip it real good. Dun, 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 dun. You guys got that one, right? Enough with the teasing. Just bring on. Oh my God. Look at this. I'll be back. Sorry. Technical issues.
Oh dear. So fingers crossed that this is something that we can see. And I haven't seen a comet for a long time, but according to NASA, it says observers in the northern hemisphere will be able to find the comet in the morning sky as it moves in the direction of the northwest during January. It will become visible for observers in the southern hemisphere sometime around early February of this year as well. So it says observers should look for it when the moon is dim in the sky, with the new moon on January 21st.
So what day again was this? This was January 12th. Should be naked to the visible. Should be visible. Should be naked.
Should be naked. We all should be naked. Yes.
Should be naked. Should be visible to the naked eye on January 12th. In which direction do people want to look? North. Is that right?
Yes. So they should be looking towards the northwest during January if you're in the northern hemisphere.
And if you're in the southern hemisphere, I don't know how that works. Do you look south?
So southern hemisphere should be able to see it as well, but a little bit later, and that'll be in the beginning of February, according to this. But I thought it was pretty cool. Again, we're getting these stories of not just meteors, but comets that haven't been recorded or haven't been seen for a very long time. And I just think it's fascinating that we're just getting these very small windows of time when they're releasing them.
Yeah, it's almost as if NASA is doing something else other than NASA stuff. You know, diversity, equity, and inclusion takes up a lot of time and resources, kids. We don't have time to look up in the sky. That's white privilege. And I just want to say, Nosferatu the vampire, you got auto-corrected, slapped down, and saying that everybody get named. I know you were saying everybody get naked. We've got Gray going bare naked ladies. Is that like chicks with dicks? Is that what you're talking about, Gray? Gray, I don't need to know that you're still in your pajamas. Hail to Jacob Ironside, Dempsey, Mr. Butt Crack Media. Hail to Courtney, my punk rock sister. You guys are awesome for being here.
Hey guys, great to see you. Hello guys. So I thought that was pretty cool and something I'll be looking out for. But it says just to tie in with the Neanderthals that were in the title, it says this means the last humans that could have possibly spotted this particular comet were early Homo sapiens, which were alive during the last glacial period or ice age.
Check this out. This is it's interesting. Was this part of one of the comets that may have hit 12,800 or 11,600 years ago? Very, very interesting timing, or maybe it's just a coincidence, just like sudden death syndrome, you know? Like, it's climate change. It's climate change. That's why 7-year-olds are dropping dead. It's climate change.
But Salty's absolutely right. Again, this 10,000 to 11,000 time period keeps popping up. So, yeah. We will see. And it says, of course, the Neanderthals and early humans wouldn't have known what the hell they were looking at, and the comet was identified much more recently than the last ice age.
Yeah. Duh. I'd still sacrifice something to that just to be on the safe side, but that's me. You know what I mean? Oh Lord, it's one of those days. It's already been one of those years, you know. I don't know what it's just. I'm really not feeling this. I'm not feeling this. Can I go back to, when do I want to go back to? I don't know. Not anything before 2020 sounds good. 2019, I'll just stay in that. Jay, I bet you Gray does have a velvet smoking jacket he wears in his silk pajamas, and I bet you he doesn't button his fly. In his Wakazashi's tea house junk is always flopping around. But that's just me.
Let's see. Let me bring this up. But
Oh, wow. So
sorry, I was distracted by the idea of smoking jackets. Please continue.
Speaking of giant phantom junk, Gray, this is an ultra rare phantom sea creature with mouth arms that was spotted off the U.S. coast. This is from I can do this, December 6th. Now this is a giant. This is real. This isn't like some asshole making up, like walking around in an ape suit in their backyard. A gigantic predator jellyfish that is rarely seen by humans uses giant tentacles to haul prey into its mouth, and it has been pictured lurking in the depths of Monterey Bay, California. There it is. So this is very hard photograph. Look at this damn thing.
With all the stuff that's leaking still and washing up on the California coast, are we sure that this isn't something that's mutated?
Yeah, well, I'm sure if the Chinese ate it, or caught it, they'd eat this goddamn thing too. But this is a massive animal, and it usually hangs out at 2,000 to 3,000 feet below the surface. Now, this particular one was photographed at 900 meters. Meters, I'm teasing. So about 2,800 feet below the surface. Now, this is only the 9th recorded time in history that scientists in Monterey Bay have been able to capture a picture of this huge predator because it leaves so deep underwater. Marine biologists managed to secure incredible footage of the beast, which has huge mouth arms that can reach a whopping 33 feet long. So it has it has arms around its mouth that are 33 feet long. This thing wow, this is a poorly written article, and it uses these 3.5 foot boffins to feel out and check the animals. But yeah, look at this damn thing. This thing is huge. These are the mouths around its arm that are 33 feet long.
That thing is
and it's
freaky.
Lurking. I'm sorry, I got distracted by OnlyFans teacher sacked for reporting dick ratings. Never mind. So this is what you expect in the Daily UK Star, but I just thought that was an interesting little sidestep of woo-woo weirdness. Yeah,
It
your man
is.
Salty has
And
ADD. He does.
And this goes back to, I've got an actual want to talk about bizarre sea creatures as well, but we've talked about this in the past, and we know less about what's going on below the surface of the oceans than we do in outer space.
I would go a step farther and say that we know less about the ocean than Payne and McKay do about Tolkien, which is a lot. Okay? Let's put this in terms we can all understand, Purple Valkyrie. Don't use those big words with your white privilege.
Words are difficult, and Dempsey says huge tracts of land.
And Nosferatu, I've asked you many times not to dox me in my OnlyFans account. I will release that publicly when the public is ready for it. Thank you very much.
Well, that was great, and at least they've got pictures of this thing. I hate it when they talk about these creatures and they've got nothing to back it up with.
Yeah. I mean, again, I wish there was more. I wish there was video, but of course we can't have nice things. And so, yeah, but there are so many of these crazy jellyfish-like things, and they're huge. And not just jellyfish, but we talked in a show a couple of months ago about octopi and squid that are just ginormous. These things are literally like the embodiment of the legendary kraken. But yeah, there's crazy stuff in the ocean. We have no idea what's going on, but we sure know that there are 7,000 genders, don't we? Don't we? We know about that.
Well, we do, because they keep telling us, yes.
Yeah, they keep making shit up. Yeah, that's what happens when you fail shop class and can't even make a birdhouse. You have to give yourself a gender to have value. Yeah, learn a skill, learn a trade. How about that? Can you do that? How about follow a direct? Can you make some cookies for me? Can you do something to add value other than sit there and bitch and complain at the height of what we can presume to be Western civilization that we know of at this time? But
it makes
what do you got
proud,
there?
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let me bring this one up. So we're talking about having nice things, and let me just jump back because we've got some great comments in the chat. Gladfly Fiction, great to see you, says those deep sea explorations are awesome. You are not
I agree.
wrong.
I actually love to watch the old Jacques Cousteau episodes, and yeah, I know he destroyed a bunch of stuff and like staged everything. I don't care. I still think they're awesome to watch. All these guys in like a submarine smoking in the submarine, and it's like, yeah, what are you doing? We're decompressing. It's like, whoa, wait, I am French. I am French.
Crack a window.
Vive la France. Vive la France. You know, I mean, like, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Sorry, Purple, I'll shut up.
No, you're absolutely right. Nary an F was given back then. You are quite correct. But Gladfly says, I also love the live streams of the Nautilus RV explorations. I've seen a few of those. They are fun to see. Very calm, very chill. Nosferatu says, squid are hyper intelligent, like elephants and dolphins. I'm against killing highly intelligent life.
Yeah, maybe we should put them in charge of the MCU or the DCEU, because there's nothing hyper intelligent over in either one of those entities. And yes, James Gunn, I'm looking at you. I want you replaced by a giant squid. I think we'd get a lot better outcome. And you know what? They'd keep Affleck as Batman, and they sure as shit would have given Henry Cavill whatever they want. But that's why we can't have nice things. There's no giant squids in charge.
I, for one, welcome our squid overlords. Soul Assassin, great to see you. Says the deeper you go into the ocean, the bigger the animals get, indeed. And let me say,
Ladies,
hey, we've got
ladies.
Ket44.
Sorry,
Ladies, good to see
sorry.
you.
Making dick jokes, interrupting. I'm sorry.
And Apollome's minion, hello, honey, great to see you as well. So, let me quickly jump back because this is just a short one, which I thought was kind of funny. So, the Conjuring house is back up for sale again in Rhode Island for the low price of, I believe it's $1.2 million.
Can we start a GoFundMe so that we can buy this house, and this will be the live stream house for everybody? Everybody just come here, and if you're not murdered by the evil spirits within, you can live stream all you want, and I will cook. Somebody's gonna have to clean and do dishes because I don't do that very well. But I will cook. I make great tacos, make really good cakes and stuff. But yeah, if the crazy shit living in this house doesn't kill us, I think it'd be a bitchin' place to live. I really do.
I think it would be a fantastic, and just looking at these pictures, it looks great inside, but it says, when is the best time to sell a haunted property, other than weeks leading up to Halloween? Wow. Take, for example, the haunted Rhode Island home that served as the impetus for the creation of James Wan's cult classic, The Conjuring. So it was reported that a witch called Bathsheba Sherman lived in the 8-acre, that's a hard one to say, farmhouse located at 1677 Round Top Road, Burrillville. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Burrillville. Burrillville. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the United States. I think it's 27 miles across or 21 miles across. I had a friend who lived in Westerly, Rhode Island. We used to go and drink a lot of gin and tonics at Block Island. But yeah, they talk like there.
That sounds pretty darn good.
Witches. I know. I'm going to look up Bathsheba Sherman and shut up.
Okay, awesome. So it says, after being afflicted by a number of supernatural occurrences, the family who originally owned it, which was the Perron family, they decided to get out of there. Our favourite psychic and psychological and psychic whatever investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, were part of it. They investigated back in 1971, but there's been on... it's been sold back and forth several times in the past few decades. So the 3,000 square foot property is one of the most famous haunted houses in the United States, and it's currently up for $1.2 million. So guys, if you've got just 1.2 million hanging around, you feel like living in a house that has an occult history, I'd say go for it because it looks rather beautiful.
I agree with you, Sola says, and he says, overnight stream at the Conjuring house, last one to make it to breakfast buys. I know, right? And then we've got Psychodwarf 9 says, it's all fun and games till someone gets possessed. Hail to Zax in the chat. Hail to you, woo woo. What's up? I did find in more information about that witch. I think we talked about it, but let's continue your article because this is fascinating stuff.
That's pretty much it. So it says if anybody is interested, it rents itself out to amateur ghost hunters. So you can actually rent the place if you're interested. But if you would like to buy it outright, that is the asking price. I believe it sold recently or a few months ago, and I think it went for 1.5 million. So they're now selling it. It's below what it sold for last time. But
it does come with 8 extra acres of land. Now, the problem with this is that is in Rhode Island. No disrespect to the good people of Rhode Island, but your government is insane. Just like the government of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Jersey. The list goes on. Property taxes are nuts. Their schools are crazy. Crime is out of control. Rhode Island is a beautiful place. Like I said, I used to spend a lot of time there in the early 90s in college because I had a buddy who lived in Rhode Island. It used to be a lot of still working class people, fishermen, people working in factories. But since people have fled New York City, again, another bastion of rationality, and moved all there to escape what's going on there, property, prices of things have gone through the roof. So, yeah, it's a little nuts. But I'll let you catch up with chat real quick.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. It's great to see you. It says, Nosferatu says, I'm going to rally hard for a Quest for Fire review from one of you. Okay.
I saw that movie. I know that movie.
I would check that out. Apparently it's his goal for 2023. All right. So we will see what we can do. Nosferatu, I promise.
Slow down. slow down, pace yourself with your expectations of 2023. Okay.
Yes, it's probably a good idea to kind of, given what 2023 has thrown at us so far, don't have too many high expectations, but we'll see what we can do. But Salty, what did you find about the witch? What were you saying?
Oh, sorry, I'm busy watching Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House flirt with Zax and talk about how broad his shoulders are. You guys get a room, for God's sake. What do we got here? All this homoerotic energy in our live streams, guys. All right, I shared the article out.
There we go.
So this I can do this. I know how to. There we go. So this comes to us from All That's Interesting, and this has to do with Bathsheba Sherman. Now, according to paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, Bathsheba Sherman promised to hunt anyone who would go occupy the land where her home sat. The couple was contacted by the Perrone family that Purple just talked about, who had moved into the property in 1971. Household items had begun to vanish, and their children were supposedly visited nightly by a benevolent female spirit. Now, this obviously, as Purple said, came down to what they made the movie about. Now,
that doesn't
this
look
is
benevolent.
this is Lorraine Histrich, the showrunner for Netflix Witcher. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. That's Bathsheba Sherman of The Conjuring. But the actual historical records, they confirm that Bathsheba Thaler was born in 1812 and would later marry a farmer named Judson Sherman in Connecticut before they gave birth to a baby boy named Herman. Now, there are reports that say Sherman murdered her own children and that she worshipped the devil. But again, this is crazy New England stuff. Who knows what really happened? But there's some crazy stuff going on at that house. And the question always is, are people bringing this in and causing it to happen unintentionally? Or is there something really there? I think this is a combination of the two. I think I've talked about it. If you have an attunement for things, you will see them. That doesn't mean you're projecting. It might mean that they're there. You're just more able to see them than other people are. Moisturizer.
Yes. And we've talked about the Ed and Lorraine, and I probably will do a dedicated show about everything that they covered, because they really did cover some incredible stories, and a lot of them have been made into feature films, but they had some very fascinating things, and I would have loved to have been able to have seen the museum that they built. I'm quite certain that it's not open anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I just want to call out Zax, who's talking smack in chat, and Wakazashi's Tea House says he's waiting for my Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review. Well, Gray, now that you're here and you want to do that, I have a part 2 of my movies coming out in 2023, and I explicitly call you out and your take on Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special and how it relates to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So look forward to that, smarty pants. So yeah, Psycho Dwarf 9 nails it. What is postpartum depression for 3 or 400?
Yes, yes. They didn't know what that was back then. It was you're insane or it's witchcraft. Yes.
Well, I don't know. I've had women in my life who were insane, and I think also practice witchcraft. So let's not be so quick to dismiss those.
See, they're not too far apart, is what you're saying. I get you.
Yeah. So here we go. This is going to get real weird real quick, okay?
Oh, yes, and I love it.
So I wanted to cover this because this is batshit nuts. But here's the thing. Given what we've experienced in the last 2 years with 2 weeks to slow the spread and all this other stuff, what if this individual is only right one time, okay? I'm just going to do that. So this comes to us from the UK Daily Star. It's entitled, Time Traveler from 2714 warns that mutant babies will be born with, here it comes, new organs this year. And this is somebody named Ari Yormani, who claims to be a time traveler, has issued a warning for 5 world-changing events coming this year, including mutant babies and natural disasters. Brought to you by Pfizer. No, this is not brought to you by Pfizer. This is something else.
I think if this is actually true, then it is kind of comforting that we do get to have a 2714. But what will that be like? Who knows?
Can I just apologize for whoever's cleaning their toes. I cannot control the ads that are on the screen. So this time traveler decided to go on TikTok, where if you were a time traveler from the future, I know I would be going on a Chinese-owned piece of surveillance software. So there's a lot you need to know. Again, this is from the time traveler. Writing predictions in a 30-second clip, Ari explained, quote, "Many of you still don't believe I am a real time traveler, so remember these 5 dates in 2023. First one, March 14th. The largest tsunami hits the West Coast, and it will be called the Great Wave. That is March 14th. Place your bets. April 28th, a baby is born with many mutations, such as new organs, and many more will come." Well, actually, I think they've been doing that in China.
Yes, and let me just say, Gray, he says, Daily Star, very reliable newspaper. Do they still have page 3? Sadly not, Gray. That went the way of the dinosaurs as well. And let me say hey to Creepy Little Book. Welcome, great to see you. Hey there.
Was that the boob page where that chick had all the boobs out?
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was a national institution, and then they decided that you can't have nice things.
No. Now I'm thinking about boobs. All right, let me get back to this article. So, April 28th, a baby is born with many mutations, such as new organs, and many more will come. Yeah, that's undoubtedly going to happen. May 7th, a disease is released from the ice caps, and they're going to call it Vorsinex. It's going to have a 40% fatality rate globally. Now, if I was going to put money on any of this to be even remotely close, it would be that one. Why? Because good old Billy G and the World Health Organization have already done another pandemic simulation.
Yes, and we have had reports about bacteria and things being found in permafrost. So, yeah, and we're also finding things that have been melted, like mammoths, and they're considering eating these things. So please don't. It's a really terrible idea.
Yeah, and maybe, we can't even talk about everything. All I'm going to say is Elon Musk is doing God's work, releasing what really happened in the last couple of years. Please pay attention. Please, because I fear for Mr. Musk's safety. I do. They're losing. The people who own everything and don't want us to own anything and like it, they're losing. And it's morons like me with a microphone and Purple Valkyrie, who's not a moron with a microphone. People are hearing us. They're not hearing the bullshit of the mainstream media. But let's get back to this article real quick. May 7th, a disease is released from the ice caps called Vorsinex with a 40% fertility rate. Oddly enough, that same 40% fertility rate was what the pandemic simulation that Billy G and all of those people were doing. And again, it's going to affect children because they're evil. And we need to, I can't say that. You know what needs to happen, and it doesn't involve a jury. October 30th, a new world is discovered in the rainforest with a new species of human. What do you think about that? I'll let you catch up in chat real quick, and I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm sure chat's going nuts.
I think somebody's playing The Sims with us now, and when you turn everything up as far as it'll go just to see what happens. I think that's where we are in the simulation at this point. But Gadfly Fiction says 40% of Western population is morbidly obese, so correlation could very well be. Hail to Mr. Batsu. We said a guy on Joe Rogan recently talked about cooking and eating mammoth steaks.
I wouldn't do it, but then again, I would much rather I don't know. What does it matter at this point? People, I'm frustrated because I live in a world where what I do for a living, I still have people who will not hire me because I won't take things that don't work. Okay? That don't work and have demonstrably caused great harm. And I'm frustrated about that. I'm just going to say that. So you know what? Maybe I'd eat a mammoth steak. It's got to be a lot safer than taking something from a pharmaceutical company these days.
Yes, anything that's genetically modified,
Let's be
don't.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, licking the sidewalk in Times Square is safer than taking something, a pharmaceutical at this point. I'm going to be really honest with you. So,
And
I'm not a
psych
doctor though, because YouTube, I'm obviously not a doctor. Yeah,
Psychodorf's right there with you, says, re-engineer the mammoth. I want to eat one. And let me say hey to Comic Relief Crusader. Great to see you as always. And Jaden Hamilton, how are you doing?
Jaden, how's it going? Are you any closer to getting it on with that chick with the boyfriend? November 9th. This is another key date to make sure you have a big red X on your calendar. The first interstellar war begins with humans and the others. Purple Valerie, talk about that a little bit.
Interstellar War, yes. Now, we've talked about this a few times on our show, and we've said, guys, if there is anything that you want to keep an eye out on for this year in particular, and probably 2024, it is anything that to do with UFOs, UFO invasions, especially of the not true variety. Expect to see a lot more stories coming out in the coming months about UFOs and what's being seen in the skies, whether it's true or not.
Yeah. So, although Yormany is adamant that they are who they claim to be, again, a time traveler from 2714, none of their claims for last year, 2022, have happened. So, maybe just,
swing and a miss.
Yeah, just keep these in mind. I'd put them in pencil on the calendar, maybe not in pen. I just think stuff like this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, we're not here to promote all woo-woo. Sometimes we have to make fun of what I consider to be trash tier woo-woo.
Indeed, but this isn't the first time that we've had people say that they're from the future to come back and give predictions. This isn't the first time that we've had people from the past have predictions, because we've talked about Nostradamus. And this is Nosferatu.
No, there's another syllable in there. Nostradamus. Nostradamus. I know, believe me. I got stream brain too. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? How do I speak English? I know, it happens, guys. This is what happens.
That had a mouthful of water, but Creepy Little Book says disclosure will never come from the government first. Contacts will be the way it happens. Agreed.
And what I think Purple and I are hoping is that the hoax that was predicted by Werner von Braun, again, the head of the moon landing space program back in the 60s, predicted all of the things that the great global cabal was going to do to destroy our world and take away our freedom and get one world government. Yeah, it's not really hard to believe now, is it? But anyway, the last step after a great war of terrorism was going to be faking a UFO invasion to freak everybody out and then grab control, because you need a global government to negotiate with the aliens.
And supposedly, what's the one thing that'll bring everybody together? The threat from the outside, from something not of this earth. Absolutely. I think that's fascinating, and I will keep a note of these dates and just see if anything of these come true. It would be interesting to see. But this isn't the first time that we've had someone claim to be from the future with wacky predictions. But
that's true.
TikTok wouldn't have been the way to go for me.
No. Do you want me to do my? Okay, good. You go now. There you go.
Just gonna jump back, since we talked so much about weird sea creatures, and I did put it on the thumbnail. So we have got 10 bizarre creatures that washed ashore in 2022, and some of them are very weird.
Wait. Did Ezra Miller wash up? Was he one of the weird sea creatures that was discovered?
I think he was too busy throwing chairs in Hawaii, but it's possible.
One more question.
Yes.
Did someone mistake Brie Larson's feet for a mysterious sea creature that washed up on shore?
Funny that you mentioned that. There is a picture down below that might actually fall into that category.
All right.
It's not pleasant, guys. It's not pleasant. So every year, the remains of bizarre creatures wash ashore on beaches. Yeah, they do, revealing clues about the lives of some of the most elusive and mysterious creatures on Earth. And 2022, there was a lot of them. So, first we have a white humpback whale. Now, this isn't.
Wow.
This isn't Moby Dick, because Moby Dick was a sperm whale, but it is kind of fascinating to see. And I don't know if you guys saw it. There's been reports of things like white orca whales that have been seen recently as well. So
There's
it
one
seems to be
here.
a trend.
There's one here that's swimming around actually the Puget Sound. It's a resident part of a resident pod, and resident orca pods are fish eaters. When you have something called transients, those are transient killer whale pods. They are generally sea mammal eaters, so they're the ones that are going to be snacking on otters and seals and other stuff like that. But this one is it's like a washed out black. It's not a truly all white baby orca, but it's really kind of weird how that stuff works.
Yeah, it looks like a printer when it's run out of ink. That's what it looks like. But it's very cute. I love orcas, and this is fascinating as well because I've never actually seen a white humpback whale. But it says a local man in Australia stumbled across the 33-foot-long or 10-meter humpback whale white corpse while he was kayaking on a hidden beach in Victoria. Surprisingly, the creature was pure white and looked more like a marble statue than a dead whale. Until you got up close to it, I would imagine, yes. It says, despite the juvenile female's extremely rare colour, experts don't think the dead humpback had albinism, because it had patches of dark on its skin.
I'm guessing it swam through something really terrible from China, and if not China, then still leaking from Fukushima. There's a lot of stuff that people just dump into the ocean, and then they blame us. Then they blame us,
very good, does it?
And then they blame it on cow farts and all this other shit, when really it's the same transnational corporations dumping the most toxic shit imaginable in there. And I have a soft spot in my heart for whales. I really do. They have an amazing intelligence. I believe they are animals with a soul, just like dogs, cats. They have personalities. And whales were hunted to near extinction. Now they're coming back, but I'm not going to say we have to stop doing anything, because I'm not responsible for it. You're not doing it. Purple isn't doing it. We're not doing it. These corporations that preach in us and then hide behind ESG, they're the ones doing it.
Nosferatu's got a question for you. Says, do the transient orcas beg for change at subway stations?
No, there's enough poop on the sidewalks already all over in major blue democratic cities, and the orcas are benevolent enough to keep that to themselves. So, but good question. Also, I saw somebody say that they ignored Kyle Reese too, and referring to the time traveler from 2714. It's true, and look how that ended up. We ended up with several shitty sequels to James Cameron's original masterpiece. Fate worse than death. Fate worse than death.
Not wrong. And a man of enough from great to see you says, I thought that was a room temperature George Soros.
We can only hope. I don't think he's ever going to die, along with Henry Kissinger. What is he, like 800 years old now? I'm a firm believer that evil finds a way to sustain itself. And there's a lot of very old evil bastards out there that do not want to seem to leave us, okay? They seem like they're never going to go, and it's just I just want the sweet meteor of death purple.
Yes. I thought we got lucky with the comet we talked about earlier, but apparently not. But so keep your eyes on the skies, guys. It'll be there. Let me carry on a little bit down the list. So we've got a half-eaten squid. Now we've talked about that again.
I did that. That was me. It was way too much calamari. It was a little underdone. I ran out of a garlic aioli, and I just didn't want the waitstaff to feel bad, so I left it on the beach.
Just buried it on the beach. Waste not, want not. So it says one of the deep sea's most elusive and spectacular creatures, the giant squid, astonished a group of tourists after it washed up with half-eaten tentacles, ladies, on a beach in New Zealand. Now, this doesn't surprise me at all. New Zealand is very famous for having these creatures wash up. In fact, one of them is preserved under glass in formaldehyde in the Natural History Museum, and and I've seen it in person, and it is freaky when you get up close to them. The eye is about the size of a tennis ball.
It is crazy. They are super trippy and freaky, and there are sometimes I see a lot of jellies where I am when I go walking
Hmm.
on the shore, which I walk all the time. And I have seen some chewed up octopus. You can tell like a whale was like, I think I'll bite this and I don't want this. Um, but when it comes to these things like this, and what I think about whenever you say Australia is a shark got it. And I'm guessing
Hmm.
it's a big ass shark that was like, I just don't want calamari today. But
Yes, there's also sperm whales, which are said to prey a lot on the squid as
it's
well, because
true.
that's one of the few things that can actually take them out. And there are scars and things that have been noted on sperm whales where they've tussled with these creatures. But this particular one wasn't as big as ones that we've seen. So this was only about 13 feet long or 4 meters, and it
Mhm.
was discovered on a beach at Farewell Spit, which is a nature reserve on the north of the South Island. They could
I'm
have
gonna
made that clearer.
I'm going to shout out a few people. Hail to Ms.
Yeah.
Martin, Muses. Great to see you, Teresa. Hail to Soul Assassin. Leia Rose is in the house as well.
Hey
If
there.
I missed you, it's not intentional. Just go, hey, say my name, in some not choking me in some autoerotic way. Just say, hey, I'm here. Okay.
Yes, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just jumping back and forth, but it's so good to see everybody today. And Nosferatu says, I want to recreate the beach scene from Rocky 3 with Salty one day.
Get over here. Come on. Come on. Let's go, Creed. Come on, Creed. Come on.
And Gadfly Fiction says, if it's Australia, there are also saltwater crocodiles to deal with. Very true. Yes. Another creature that doesn't stop growing once it gets to a certain age. But so let's see. So it says washed up giant squids are extremely rare, but this seems to be a hot spot for them. At least 6 have washed up in the last 30 years in that particular area.
Mm. Oh, Jesus.
Remember I said the thing about Brie Larson's feet? Well, there we go.
Yeah. Well, I immediately went to Melissa McCarthy for some reason. But they kind of do. Chat, Purple, do you want to set up a poll where we can ask them, do they think this looks more like Brie Larson's feet or like a naked Melissa McCarthy, or is that too much trouble? I just think it would be fascinating. This is gross. This is absolutely gross, but apparently that's me being fat phobic. I was gonna say this would be like Lizzo's she had albinism, but it's probably racist or something.
It is bizarre, isn't it? And I thought immediately it looked like chewing gum, like had been spat out on the beach, but
Melted wax.
apparently not. So this strange alien-like blob that washed up in the UK, hey, that's just great, was probably a pile of whale guts, according to experts. So the massive stomach sac was discovered in Cornwall. They can keep it by Helen Marlowe while she was walking her dog on the beach. Possibly it was that dog. I don't know. I would like to think so because he's got a little jacket on.
He's got a rainbow vest on. You know that little dog hates his life and it's just like, Jesus, can I be with somebody who owns a truck and a firearm and we can listen to 70s hard rock music? Why do you have to put me in this like rainbow LGBTQ plus jumper thing? Oh, sorry.
I thought it was like a little rain jacket, but now that you look at it, I think you might actually be right. Sorry, I'm just trying to set up that.
Oh, well, I'll talk then. I'm going to shout out
Yeah.
the chat. We've got Nosferatu, the vampire, who's saying, Gray, you're the one who loves tentacles. We all know what that's talking about, and it's not eating them. D. Bud Martin has one of the green yuck mouth faces that they used to have that stickers when I was a kid here in the United States. Nosferatu says it looks like a dehydrated, grumpy Amber Heard left in Johnny's bed.
Didn't
You
think
do
of
you,
that,
Nas.
but yes.
Dempsey might be onto something. Says that is the remake of the Sex and the City. Yeah, that's what Mr. Big leaves. Oh, I can't even do that. I can't make that joke. Jay the Deep Minded says it looks like a giant haggis.
If that had washed up in Scotland, they would have deep fried that sucker by now.
Probably. Yes. Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of gross and
It
kind of
is.
yeah, whatever that is. I hope they removed it. So it says after uploading images of the mysterious object, experts from Cornwall's Wildlife Trust identified the blob as a potential whale stomach. Funnily, how they probably didn't get too close, but it likely came from a fin whale, a minke whale, or a humpback or sperm, something. And it's
Question.
yes.
Where the hell's the rest of the whale? What happened to the rest of the
Well,
whale?
they actually go and say that. So they said that the rest of it may have been ripped apart by scavengers. So whatever was left of the stomach, if they didn't want to eat it, just kind of washed ashore, which kind of makes sense.
Okay.
This one's kind of sad.
Oh my God.
Look, hundreds of tiny penguins. So, more than 500 of the world's smallest penguins mysteriously washed up dead on beaches across New Zealand. New Zealand, what are you doing? What's going on?
Well, we all know what's going on in New Zealand, but it's funny. If you're from China and infected with the latest variant, they're not going to prevent you from coming in the country. Why? No, but this is really sad. Let's get through this one. Why are all these little baby penguins dead?
It's so sad. So it says the little penguin, which is what they're called, washed up in several large, I don't even know what that means. Aggregations?
Oh, aggregations. Yeah, so
Aggregations.
several large groups. Yeah.
Within about a month on beaches across the North Island. It wasn't immediately clear what killed penguins, but experts noticed most of the dead birds were significantly underweight. So most likely the explanation is that a increase, of course, here we go, in the ocean's temperatures triggered by our perennial favourite, climate change. Forced their prey into deeper, colder water. The penguins couldn't find them, and they subsequently starved to death.
No. I refuse to believe that because I need more than an accusation of something that's predicated upon faulty science to begin with. Now, that is a tragedy. What I want to know is the toxicity reports of those penguins. I want someone to do toxicology on those and also to look for Psycho Dwarf 9 says in chat, microplastic concentrations within the blood. Okay.
Yes.
The other thing we need to think about here is also weapons testing. Okay. Different types of things that the world's navies are doing underwater. This is really weird. And this doesn't happen very frequently. It has nothing to do with a made up bullshit thing. But they'll never get to the root cause of why these tiny little penguins died, just like they'll never get to the root cause of what sudden death is. Even though we all know what it is, we just can't talk about it. Why?
We just can't say it out loud, yes.
Fuck.
Because YouTube reasons. But no, I don't believe that was the case. I think you guys are probably more likely something was either spilled in the water, which this particular colony ingested, or it was microplastics, which, as we know, are a massive problem with sea life and fish. And now they're being found in humans as well, which is just fantastic.
Hail to Caviendo. Cavalryman Che says, unlike Tom Huddleston, Purple Valkyrie can pronounce penguin without any issues.
I can say penguin, I just can't say any other words, apparently. But thank you, Cavatinio. Great to see you.
Speaking of penguins, we've got Floral from Under a Rock. Hail to you, good sir. Very, very talented creator, puppet guy. Please give Floral from Under a Rock a sub and watch his stuff. Good dude. And we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't talk about YouTube's own favorite penguin, Punkwaddle. Great content creator, does Punkwaddle ponderances with his penguin puppet. Say that fast 6 times. So, hail everybody.
It's a bit of a tongue twister. This one I'm just going to run through very quickly. So it's an aborted baby shark, again washed up in the UK. But we don't see this very often. There aren't many sharks that actually have a live birth. A lot of them will lay egg sacs. But this one apparently, sadly, didn't make it to term. I thought that this, again, with the penguin, it's quite sad. I know a lot of people don't like sharks, but I think that's unfortunate for the little thing. This one, again, is kind of weird, mysterious beaked whale.
Oh
I'd say
yeah.
that looks more like a dolphin, but I'm no marine biologist. So it says the corpse of a mysterious beaked
Mm,
whale washed
mhm.
up on a northern California beach. There we go with California again, with unusual wounds on its face and scrape marks all over the body. Experts were unsure as to what caused these injuries, how the whale died, or even what species it was.
This sounds like rough sex with Harvey Weinstein. That's what it sounds like.
It gets better. The remains of the unusual dolphin-like whale, well, which is it, a dolphin or a whale, which measured around 16 feet long, were
Mm,
found on the beach at Jug Handle State Natural Reserve near Fort Bragg. A team of
mm.
scientists recovered the body, took samples of the whale's blubber, organs, and skull for analysis.
Wait a minute. This was from California, but they said it's near
Mm-hmm.
Fort Bragg. And
Yep.
maybe it's a Fort Bragg I'm not familiar with in California because the Fort Bragg I know is out on in North Carolina. But what do I know?
Geographical locations mean nothing apparently, but yeah, I don't think that looks like a whale. I'm not an expert, but apparently
There
that's what
are
they said it was.
some rarer species of
Hmm.
these, and there are a lot of things in between porpoise, dolphin, porpoise, harbor porpoises, which are larger, and you see a lot of them out where I am now. There are beaked whales like this. I've never seen this washed up before. Yeah, it could be any of these. The Hub's beaked whale, the Stenger's beaked whale, could
Hmm.
also be a ginkgo tooth beaked whale or a pygmy beaked whale. Yeah, what are they doing over there in cetacean studies that these guys can't even tell us what the hell whale this is? I mean, like, why are you guys there? You're supposed to know this stuff.
Yes, please help us and please tell us why. They think that maybe it was because of a vessel strike. That's what caused its injuries. Apparently, this is something that happens quite frequently with whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and
Oh yeah.
I would imagine seals as well, getting hit by boats.
Yeah, Dempsey and Nosferatu both saying the same things. It's lots of dead marine life. I'm sure it's fine though. Yeah, we talked about it last week with the hole that was ripped open in our atmosphere in the magnetosphere, which protects us from a lot of rays that come down from space and can just absolutely excoriate and extinguish all life down to viruses on the surface of the planet. Now, it could be that maybe when you see signs of trauma like this, it could be a broke propeller, a trawler, it could be any number of things, squid attack, other whales attacking its sharks, all kinds of crazy things out there.
Agreed. And Manaman Nefrin, great to see you as always. He says, with how deep the ocean is and how limited with its depth, I doubt we know even 25% of what's down there. I
Agreed.
absolutely agree. And Dempsey said, this is all fake news. They use paper straws now. The planet is saved.
Yeah, and Marvin Gaye nailed it when he said, "Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough." I just felt like doing that.
I love it when you sing.
Very few people do, but thank you.
And Ian so forth, good evening, great to see you. Happy New Year. He sends us a £15 super chat. Thank you. He says, it was a mysterious beaked whale, said the man who had never seen a fish before.
Yeah, again, I keep coming back to Melissa McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy, or a relative of Lizzo, and I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Just
Yeah.
jumping back to the poll that we put up, Melissa McCarthy is actually winning with 64% to 36% at the moment.
Okay. So remember that white fibrous blob on the beach with the dog in the Trans Lives Matter vest? That's what people are saying it is. Either Brie Larson's feet or Melissa McCarthy. Please vote in the poll if you haven't. This is scientific. We're doing more scientific research than the CDC did in back when they said 2 weeks to slow the spread. Let's be really, we're more scientific than the FDA. I guarantee you that. Yeah.
This one I'll just quickly touch on because this is something that happens quite frequently. I know it happens pretty much all over the place as well. So this is the jellyfish jamboree. No, it's not an orgy. Thousands of globular cannonball jellyfish washed ashore in North Carolina.
Yeah,
No.
Cape Hatteras. Cape
Mhm.
Hatteras National Seashore. It's beautiful out there. It is absolutely beautiful out there. And this is the northern edge of Ocracoke Island, which is one of my favorite places to go in the Southeast. It's absolutely pristine. You can see dolphins, great surf casting, lots of sharks out there. And of course, this is where Blackbeard the pirate terrorized this coastline. And there is a lot of crazy wrecked pirate ships and civil warships that
Nice.
are off the coast of this in Cape Hatteras. So yeah.
That's fascinating. And this, they believe, was simply just a case of overabundance of the red drum larvae, which is the favorite food of the jellyfish. So they ate themselves to death, apparently, and that's what caused them to expire. But hey, that's not the worst way to go, I guess.
It's true. It's true. And drum is a delicious fish. It's a really good fish.
Well, now that all of these have expired, there'll be more for everybody else.
The problem I have with this is when you call something a jamboree, I'm not seeing the
Mhm.
baton because I want jellyfish going dun, 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 with trumpets and stuff because that's what I consider a jamboree. This is just a bunch
Yes.
of fat dead things.
Fat dead blobs of jelly. I mean, I appreciate the alliteration. I always do, but yeah, it didn't work quite as well this time. But I think this is the last one. So we've talked about these before. So it is a kraken with massive eyes. So a massive sucker-covered giant squid carcass with eyes the size of dinner plates washed up on a beach in South Africa. So this one was it wasn't actually that big according to this. So the kraken, in quotations, was found on the rocky shore of Scarborough Beach near Cape Town and was around 14 feet or 4.1 meters long. Now, that's not especially long for a
I wouldn't call it a
fish.
kraken.
Not
I'd call it
really. I'd call it an appetizer,
just.
an
I was gonna
entree.
say just enough entree of calamari. That's what I would call it. But yeah.
It looks a little bit embarrassed to
Wow.
be there, like it didn't want to be found. It's like, oh, yeah.
And this is why I love our chat. Caviendo Calvary Minche says, wow, there is a Fort Bragg in California. It is known for the skunk train and rail bike path in the Mendocino coast. Did not know that. See, I mean, you guys are awesome. Thank you for looking that up. Really.
And we've got a much better size comparison from Amanda Manefrin. It says, eyes the size of Land's nipples.
Yes, we just watched that on my channel. Nerdtorial watching Wheel of Time Season 1, Episode 5 for the first time, and we're working on getting Episode 6 in the watch on Amanda Manethrin's channel. Nathan is going to be doing Amanda Manethrin in chat, his very first live stream, and a lot of us are trying to help him set it up, but
exciting.
YouTube is proving to be very difficult with this, so we're still working on it. And I agree, that was not a Dawkin-worthy size kraken. I'm just going to be very clear about that.
Not at all. No, that was not even a half a kraken. That was a bit of a disappointment. This 100-year-old Greenland shark. Now everybody knows that the Greenland shark can live for a long time. So a super rare shark washed up in the UK that could have been at least 100 years old. So the Greenland shark was first spotted on the sand in Newlyn Harbour, Cornwall again, but then it got washed out to sea. The shark, which measured 13 feet long and weighed 628 pounds, was then rediscovered floating off the coast a couple of days ago, and they managed to haul that sucker back in this time. Greenland sharks are native to the Arctic and North Atlantic and are believed to be among the longest living animals in the world, capable of living at least 272 years. There are reports of some that are over 300 years old as well, though.
It kind of puts us into perspective, doesn't it? And not to mention the plans of our evil overlords trying to kill us and reprogram our DNA with forced shit. It's just absolutely crazy. Megalomaniac narcissists, I don't know.
It is. And we've talked about this and we will continue to talk about it. We know so little about the world in which we live in. Getting to see these sort of creatures, and I know it's sad that this one died, but there's so few specimens of them because one, they live for so long, and two, they're very elusive. So
Cam's Crash Course also adds to the North Carolina discussion. He says it's a very beautiful place. Lots of interesting history and mysteries there. It's true. He used to live there in Nags Head. Great place. Had some really good barbecue and fish fry
Nice.
there. North of Hatteras. Yeah, and it's near where the White brothers did their first flight at Kitty Hawk. All true. All true. And if you want really trashy beach t-shirts, and lots of frozen drinks with that are terrible and contain a lot of alcohol, frozen in frozen form. Second only to a Myrtle. What is it? Myrtle Head. Myrtle. What is it? Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So no disrespect to North Carolina. I lived in North Carolina a long time. So.
Avoid the drinks though, and Jay says Greenland sharks don't live long in Iceland, where fermented shark meat is a local delicacy. I've heard of that. I've never tried it, but I know a lot of people do like it. And let me just say a huge thank you to Wakasashi's Tea House. Great to see you, Gray, and congratulations again. He sends us a super sticker, and it is a little Shiba Inu punching with little hearts. So
That's
thank you
awesome.
for that. And he's also sent us a member chat as well. It says, Hail and Happy New Year to both of you. Woo woo! Indeed.
Hail to you, Gray. And I'm going to keep saying this. Congratulations on being monetized. And again, Gray does some really great comic reviews. I love his takes. He's the optimism to my realism. And I think you need both in the world. So hail to you, Gray.
This one just made me laugh, mainly because of the picture. It looks like they're standing around discussing who's going to insert what into that.
This is like Jeff's Island. Somebody needs to Photoshop in the faces of Bill and Hill and
who's going to be the first to try it, because you know they're thinking of it.
Yeah.
But apparently this is the largest ever bony fish. So this is a gigantic sunfish which was discovered near a Portuguese island and set a new world record for the heaviest bony fish. So the giant sunfish didn't actually wash ashore. It was found lifeless on the ocean surface just off the coast, and it was then brought in. So this humongous fish is around 12 feet tall, 11 feet around 11 feet long, and weighed a hefty 6,049 pounds, which is 2,744 kilos, or almost 3 tons.
So that's like almost 2 Lizzos right there. That's what we're talking about as far as that fish was.
Yes, yeah, that's a much better comparison of size. But I thought that was a pretty cool list, and some of the things, I think they were stretching it a little bit, especially when it came to the giant squid. They weren't especially giant, but it is fascinating to see some of the things that have sadly washed up, especially the penguins. But predictably, what did they blame it on? But climate, of course.
Yeah, sure. Purple Valkyrie, I need you to vamp for 30 seconds. So
yeah, of course. Let's see. So great to see you guys. So Dempsey is saying, awesome lift in Dayton, where the Wright brothers built their plane and lift. They had their bicycle shop there as well. That is pretty darn cool. I think I would actually really like to try the fermented shark. I know that people have talked about it and said it's an acquired taste, I guess, but yeah, I don't think I'd like it, although I do actually really like seafood. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Oops, let me scroll up and see. So Nosferatu says the Humboldt and Mendocino County have lots of weird paranormal sightings, a lot of disappearances. It's a wild and rural area. That I believe, and I'm going to be getting back to talking about disappearances as well. And we do actually want to cover David Plydis' new documentary as well, and kind of give our thoughts on what we thought of that, and kind of give a review on it. We're just trying to think of the best way to kind of cover it.
Yeah, and we're just going to have to tear the Band-Aid off that thing. There's really no other way to say it. Yeah.
But we do still keep up to date on disappearances and the missing 411 because we find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Pod Racing Palpatine, great to see you, says, not so much a giant squid, more of a massive squid.
I wouldn't say it's giant. I would just say it's differently abled. Let's be honest about it. It's a
It's
differently able.
slightly bigger than normal squid.
Mm,
Doesn't quite
yeah.
roll off the tongue. And Jay says it tastes okay, but smells really bad. Very chewy texture. Thank you.
Are we talking about Brie Larson? Oh, no. We're talking about fermented shark. Okay, never mind. Allegedly. I've heard that.
Potato. Yes.
Mm.
What have you got for us, Salty?
So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this creeped the living hell out of me. I am not a fan of anything involving AI. I work in an industry where I understand everything is limited by the parameters by which you program it. So this is not artificial intelligence. It is merely a complex program that has dead end data to draw from. Now, this comes again from the Sun, and this article came out on December 31st. How perfect for the end of the year. Chilling AI predicts what nuclear war would look like with attacks on London, Moscow, and Washington. Yeah, this is what they're programming our soon-to-be AI overlords doing. What would a nuclear apocalypse look like in World War III? So this was supposedly created by the computer program, again, which is limited by the constraints that are within its programming. This is the artwork that it made. This is an AI-produced image of a nuclear attack on London.
That just looks like London, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Have you been to London recently?
Yeah. And I'm not sure where this is. I don't know if this is supposed to be San Francisco or Boston, but these streets deserted. Yeah, there's a whole lot of windows not blowing out from that. But look at this one. I think this one is the creepiest one. AI produced this chilling image when asked for the last man on Earth.
He's playing golf.
Yeah, he is. And apparently it's really kind of warm, so he rolled up his sweatpants to make sure his calves were showing. This reminds me of a 70s Pulp Fiction fantasy novel. You know?
I was just wondering whether they're implying that 45 is the last living man on Earth. I would think that was kind of poetic.
It's just nuts. Look at this. Crowds of people are seen in the rubble of a city after a nuclear attack. Again, these look like 1960s, 1970s pulp paperbacks of great science fiction. There's tons of them out there. You can look up images. This is creepy. This one right here, soldiers created by AI who could fight World War III. And there we go. This looks like somebody was on acid doing this. This is a mushroom cloud rising over DC.
So many things I wanted to say then.
I mean, you're going to see a big push this year for a lot of different things. And the transhumanism, not just in the trans things with kids, is going to be everywhere. We're going to see trans superheroes. You're also going to see a big push for AI and things along those lines, because that's the agenda, you know? And yeah, it did look like a giant upside down garlic, but I don't mean to bring everybody down. It's just that I look at this stuff and I'm like, this is so gross and so weird. And yet this is what the elites, they get a big wood for this. This is what gets them off, is this shit where everything is apocalyptic and dark, and, you know, the whole adrenochrome thing and just, it's gross. It's weird.
A massive push for this. Not only the AI generated things, which is causing a lot of controversy at the moment, but we're also having films. We've got Oppenheimer coming out in July, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we do. And it's weird because as a Gen X kid, we were all acutely aware that every day we could wake up and the Soviet Union, United States, and NATO could all blow each other up from a big misunderstanding. And it almost happened several times. It almost happened several times. But on both sides, there were good men and women in uniform with good Western values of right and wrong, who made judgment calls not to trust faulty data and start the end of the world. What I fear is we have another generation of leaders who are the absolute antithesis of those Western values and cannot wait to start the end of the world. I don't know. It just pisses me off.
And let me say hey to Trinoculus P. Says, fitting time to mention Fallout London, based on Fallout 4. A release is a few months away. Artwork is cool and mostly developed by an indie English group, not Bethesda.
Yeah, let's see how buggy that is. I mean, again, and thank you for that, Trinoculus P. I've heard that about London as well. I think it's going to be fascinating because one of the things that pissed me off, and I know everybody's going to give me hate, is I did not like Fallout New Vegas. I do not really like Fallout 4. Um, I really liked being in an urban environment like DC, and I did live in DC, so it was very familiar to me, but I like being in an urban environment like that. I think it is more terrifying to be underground and in these buildings and other things
Mhm.
like that. The one thing I hope they do with this Fallout version is you get to go into more random buildings and you aren't just sort of locked into the maze, the labyrinth that they've
Yeah,
created,
you're
you know?
just stuck on one course, yeah.
So we're going to wrap the show up with this. I started this last week. This is a continuation of the 11 archaeological discoveries of 2022 that left even the experts in awe. All right, here we go. So these are the hidden tunnels and chambers found beneath Peru's Chavan de Huantar Temple. So Rick Scott of Stanford University and his team noticed a duct while exploring the 3,000-year-old this temple in Peru, and they used a robotic camera to enter the duct. The team then realized that it exposed a brand new chamber. And then, of course, the bullshit from China that escaped stopped everything until last year. Now, Rick returned to the site in Peru, and his team were finally able to study the temple. An archaeologist even squeezed himself through the tiny tunnel, helping make the thrilling discovery of 35 interconnecting tunnels never known before, and it included a ceremonial gallery and two
Wow.
ceremonial bowls. Now, one of the bowls the archaeologist found was in the shape of an Andean condor. Look at that.
That is
Science is not
beautiful.
settled. None of this, it's all bullshit. There's so much more to find. We have to keep digging deeper and exploring. However, that is exactly what the elites are trying to breed out of us, because they don't want critical thinkers. They don't want people who have a soul. They don't want people to know the hero's journey. They want you to eat bugs and like it and just watch Disney. That's it. So the first bowl they found weighed almost 40 pounds in this tunnel and was molded in the shape, as we said, of a condor. The second bowl was another huge 40 bowl one, was a more simple design, because the imagery on the first bowl, the archaeologists decided to call it the Condor Gallery. Now, archaeologists suspect that this newly discovered gallery in these 35 tunnels had a purely ceremonial role and served as a transitional site for the Kharal people and later the Chavan people. They think the bowls were likely left as offerings when the chamber was closed for the final time 3,000 years ago. And we'll take a quick look at those again.
Those are beautiful.
Brand new. We are every day. History is being rewritten in front of our eyes. They're just not telling us about it. We don't need to know. We just need to eat bugs and like it. Yes. Another one is dozens of skeletons, again in Peru, were discovered beneath a former colonial hospital. So for decades, there were excavations at the site of an abandoned hospital in Rio de San Andres in Lima, Peru, and they've turned up finds from the 19th century, including a fountain, a trash pit from the early colonial era, and a mysterious vaulted structure. But some of the most exciting news came from finding 42 skeletons beneath the hospital courtyard. The hospital was originally founded in 1552 for newly arrived Spanish colonizers, go team colonizer, and the skeletons seem to have been hospital patients. Most of them are male, and many bore signs that they suffered from syphilis.
Oh.
So
our good friend syphilis, indeed.
That is not a thing that people used to recover from. There was no such thing as antibiotics. You slowly went insane from syphilis. So yeah, that they've just found, quote, the people who did not survive the treatment were buried here, said the chief archaeologists. The ritual and religiosity of Lima was very strong. So this hospital, Hospital Real de San Andres, later became a hospice and then a public school before an earthquake shut it down just recently, and is a site of local legend. 16th century chronicles claim that the bodies of the last 3 Incan rulers are buried somewhere in the hospital crypt. Now, I can't say these Incan rulers at all. Can you say them, Purple Valkyrie?
Parachutek and Hainuma Capek, I
And
believe.
Tupac Shakur. Oh no, Tupac Yupanyanki were in there. So if we butchered it, yeah, we meant to be culturally insensitive. Please cancel us. So there was a Neolithic shrine bearing human-like carvings unearthed in the Jordan Desert. Did you hear about this one?
I didn't actually, no.
So this came out of Jordan, where French and Jordanian archaeologists from the Southeastern Badia Archaeological Project unearthed a 9,000-year-old, well-preserved Neolithic shrine in the desert. Just found it. Now they're saying it's at least 9,000 years old. Now, where do we go back to? The 11,600 years ago, the 12,000 years ago stuff.
Back to
There it
that
is.
date again.
Purple, I'm going to let you catch up if there's any good comments in chat and drink some water.
Yeah, let me just grab a couple of these because you guys are on fire as always. Dempsey said, would you give any credence to the square alien vessel that was the size of a planet? It showed up in pictures of the sun as a square black block, massive on an unimaginable scale, supposedly. I do remember that, but I haven't actually looked into it, so I can look into it for next week. Absolutely.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Purple. Sorry, I wanted to say that I think there's something there, but I also think there was a pixel out or something was wrong with the image. So whatever was there, I don't think it was that shape and scale and size, but I think there might have been something there. So yeah, we need to look at that more. Sorry,
we do. I'll definitely check that one out. And Soul Assassin said there was a story of a hidden chamber found in a Tibetan temple with thousands of skulls written in multiple languages that go back thousands of years. Now, if that is true, and I do actually believe that is probably true, again, it goes back to what we've talked about in the past, the whole idea that humans as a species were basically rewritten. We had a cataclysmic thing that we went through as a species. Something to do with
fundamentally changed us.
Yep.
Yeah, when we have genetic memory of that event, that in some ways we had to de-evolve to just go into survival instinct, and that there was probably a lot of different brain function, which is the reason why we have a lot of unused brain capacity in different things, and why some people have different sensitivities to things. So none of that would surprise me. None of it would. And I think if we start looking into the holdings of the billionaires trying to erase all of us from the planet, I think we would find a lot of things that would answer a lot of questions. I really, really, really do. And instead, they want to get rid of us all, you know?
Yes, well, people have talked in the past about what is in the vaults of the Vatican. You will probably never know what was lost when the Library of Alexandria was lost as well.
Yeah.
It is incredible what we could be at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of technology that we've had for years that they're just slowly leaking out in things that become commercially available. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's actually true. You know, they use it for military reasons first. Then if they can find a way to profit off of it, it comes to the civilian sector. But, you know, people are starting to talk about China going to the moon. Now, what's on the moon? Now, we've known since the 70s the moon had something called helium-3. Now, helium-3 is probably the most easily accessible and easy to create actual true clean fusion, which is the opposite of fission. It results in no terrible radioactive waste afterwards. But why do you think China has built this huge reactor that's going to burn hotter than the sun, and we can't even keep our lights on here right now because of carbon, all this other bullshit? So yeah, China's going to the moon. It's got NASA scared. What do you think China's going to do up there? It's not in our best interest, and it's not even going to be in the Chinese citizens' best interest. It's going to be in the elite's interest what China is doing on the moon.
As always. But this whole idea that we are still finding these incredible shrines, it does bring hope to us as a species. And is there anything else that it says about this particular shrine? Because it says it could see different fossils as well.
Yes, so this shrine had different components, including 2 stones bearing the carvings of human-like figures, as well as over 150 snail-shaped marine fossils carefully arranged next to what would have been an altar. And this was in the middle of the Jordanian desert. Okay.
So nowhere near a beach then.
No, this discovery is unprecedented as it constitutes a unique testimony of complex ritual arrangement dating back to the Neolithic period. Every single component itself is remarkable. The stones, which has been nicknamed the Ghassan and Abu Ghassan by the archaeologists, are especially intriguing. They're near the Near Eastern Neolithic period and offer archaeologists a peek into some of the oldest expression in the Middle East. It's unclear what the stones were meant for. Archaeologists suspect that they had some connection to spirituality. The shrines were found near desert kite traps, which were long stone walls that led into an enclosure where wild gazelles corralled. It's crazy. We're just going to ignore the fact that, oh yeah, they're talking about snails and all this other stuff in the middle of a desert. You know, it occurred, and it's from the same period where we had the major climatic change due to something happening. I believe it was a major asteroidal impact back then. But it's just like, oh, that's interesting. We're archaeologists. We can't, that's as far as we're going to go.
Yes, yes. Remember back in the day when archaeologists actually wanted to explore history and...
Yeah. Yeah. I think Indiana Jones ruined me for archaeologists. Everyone I've met has kind of been a letdown. We got one more. We actually have two more. This is the second from the end. A female vampire skeleton in Poland was found with a sickle across her neck. Now, we've covered this in a vampire segment.
I remember this.
Researchers around the world dig up skeletons all the time, but in Pien, Poland, they came across a skeleton just in 2022. They were exploring a small graveyard and found a skeleton of a woman who had been buried with a sickle across her neck and a padlock on her toe. Experts believe she had been suspected of being a vampire during her life in the 17th century and had been buried with a sickle across her neck so that if she tried to get up, she'd decapitate herself. It's genius. Really.
I mean, makes sense to me. Either that or she was really, really unpopular.
It's like Brie Larson in Ms. Marvel. So this spooky piece of archaeology news probably had something to do with the rising fear of vampires in Eastern Europe. And of course, we've talked about this on our vampire show. And it was a terror and a fear that would reach its peak during the 18th century. Also, the alleged vampire was buried with a silk hat on her head, which would have been very expensive during her time. This is suggestive that she had a very high social status while she was alive, and reinforces the notion that accused vampires were more often locals than strangers. Well, what it affirms to me is that this could have been someone with a lot of money who maybe was predatory, and that maybe vampire could be a euphemism or an analogy to being predatory and preying on the young and the weak. But
so suggesting that maybe the community came together and did what they needed to do.
Yeah, one can only hope we do that. Because if we don't, we're all going to die horribly. We also have Bronze Age funeral pyre found to contain dozens of people from 8 generations. This is in the Italian Alps near Salerno. Archaeologists have been studying a highly unusual 3,000-year-old funeral pyre since 1986. They found some new answers in 2022. Now, the study suggests that between 48 and 172 people were burned at the site across 8 generations of the same family. Though cremated remains make it difficult for researchers to determine who was related to who, there were grave goods and settlements nearby that suggest that they belonged to the same families or that they were elites. 3,000 years that altar was used to burn these bodies. They found bowls, cups, jugs, all this other stuff, and they suspect that ancient people once gathered around the fire as it burned, raised a toast to their loved one's memory, and then threw their glasses into the blaze. Now, that is the kind of funeral I want. I want a Viking funeral. I want people to get drunk and throw stuff into my funeral and just do the Jedi funeral. That's what I want.
That actually sounds like a really nice send-off, to be honest, and get everybody together who loved you or hated you, and you can all drink and then have a fight after, and you can laugh about it in the afterlife.
Okay, I'm a big fan of that, because my spirit is strong and will make its way to the halls of my fathers. I'm just going to say that, all right?
Hell yes. Oh my god, that was a great great selection. Hope you guys enjoyed that today. I had a blast talking about it. Let me just shout out a couple more people because we've got a couple more who've joined. It says lizard people, of course, indeed. It's always the lizard people whenever you you dive down deep enough. And let me say hello to that 70s rock fan who says, does she have sickle cell anemia? But well played.
Dude. we love you, Brian. Never change.
Never change. And congratulations on your show the other day. That was a blast.
That was brilliant. Good
that was
work,
a great
sir.
one.
Good work.
So before we let all these amazing people get on with the rest of their day and their week, Salty, I know you've been working very, very hard putting videos out.
Yeah, I got the bug, and I don't know, like last night I was hanging out talking with Steve, and before the show I was talking with with Nathan. But yeah, we're trying to plan ahead. Obviously, we're going to continue watching season 1 with Memorial of A Wheel of Time, the abomination that Rafe Judkins put together. I'm going to be dropping a couple videos tomorrow. If you haven't, check out the ones I put out today. They're short, but they're not talking about what everybody else on YouTube is talking about. And that's kind of my goal, is to kind of be where people are not. Mm-hmm. Now, the algorithm doesn't like it, but I don't care, because the things I want to talk about. So today we're talking about Netflix is in trouble again. Are you shocked? With another fantasy show. Are you shocked that has been in development for 2 years and got nothing to show for it, and they just fired the showrunner? So check out that video. And then we also have some news on the Buffy the Vampire remake, whose big pitch was, it's Black Buffy. And Michelle Gellar just went on record saying she wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Please check that out. Those are the videos I put out today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be dropping a video on, I don't even know what I recorded. I don't know. A couple of videos tomorrow too. But I really love the comments. You guys have been fantastic. It means a lot that you guys are watching them. It's not always going to be like this where I have time to make it, but I got the bug back, and I want to talk about things that interest and excite me. And the algorithm can kiss my ass. So,
yes, yeah. That's it. And that's what YouTube was all about. It wasn't everybody covering the same topics over and over again. So well done.
No disrespect. Sorry. How many times do I need to? Never mind. I'm not going to do that. I got enough people who think I'm an asshole, and I'm really not. I'm just honest.
Has got it. He says Assassin's Creed. Yes.
Yeah. This time, I hope they have a trans. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. Daniel. Yes, of course. She's black and she's gay, or maybe she's bi, or maybe it's a. Doesn't matter. Just run down the wheel of intersectional idiocy and you'll get to what they wanted to make. You know?
Just spin the wheel and it'll land on something. But
whatever it is, it's not enough. It's not enough. Just remember that.
Let me say a big thank you and hello to Rod Thunderheart, very, very talented author. He was so kind enough to send me a copy of one of his books, which I've nearly finished reading, so I'm going to do a review on that. Thank you for joining us. A big, big thank you to Deepa Martin for covering the chat today. You are on fire as always. Thank you.
I want to shout out Brightest Day. I've been following what you're doing on social media with your new 3D printer. I'm jealous. If I send you plans and send you money, will you print some things for me? I'm sure I'm not the only person asking you that. But dude, I want to know what you think, because I would love to see a video talking about the pros and cons of doing this thing and if it's worth doing. Because there's a lot of figures that I'd like to get, but I want them larger scale. You know, like there's a lot of things.
You want to be able to see the detail on them. Yes. Yeah. Guys, let me say a huge, huge thank you to the traveling man himself, Salty, for bringing amazing content as always. Really do appreciate you taking time to do these shows.
My pleasure. And we never know if anybody's going to show up, and you guys always wow us and baffle us, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the comments, all the hot takes. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for being here. Yes. It's great to get a chance to talk about this instead of the steady decline, a deliberate decline of our pop culture and our movies and things like that. And it's wonderful to talk about this. And I'm not a big cuddly hoser, Brian, that 70s rock fan. No, you're married, dude. Go to conversion therapy. They'll pray the gay out of you, Brian. All right, we gotta get on this one. All right, it's a new year, new you.
Oh my god, you guys are amazing. Huge thank you to everybody who joined today. You guys were on fire. Thank you for the fantastic comments and thank you for all your support. You guys are amazing. Please check out the videos that Salty dropped today. And if you're not subscribed, please do and ring the bell because he's got lots more content coming. I might do something on the weekend because I haven't done a chill stream for a while. If not, we will be back next week with more woo-woo since you guys seem to enjoy it. So a huge thank you once more. You guys are amazing. Good night to Dave Pub. I see you there. Great to see you as always. And guys, I will leave you when I can grab it with the outro.
Want me to vamp something? Ain't no mountain high enough.